Hey, Ron here from Military Images. Thanks for joining me for a new episode of Life on the Civil War Research Trail. Today we're going to December 3rd, 1861. The Civil War was in its first year. In Virginia, Union and Confederate forces converged on Fredericksburg. In South Carolina, Federal amphibious forces had recently captured Port Royal, gaining an important foothold to further invade the state. In Boston, meanwhile, Frederick Douglass took the stage in front of a packed house at Boston's Tremont Temple to deliver a speech, part of a lecture series commemorating the life and teachings of Theodore Parker, the prominent abolitionist and Unitarian minister who had died earlier in the year. Douglass, in his early 40s and actively engaged in the pursuit of equality for all, chose photography as his topic. The press advertised the lecture by the title Pictures in Progress. Douglass titled it Lectures on Pictures. Douglass is pictured here about a month after the lecture. This particular photograph was taken in Philadelphia in January of 1862. Now, you might be surprised that Douglass spoke about photography and chose that as his topic instead of the myriad issues for which he's best remembered. But consider this. Douglass stands among the most photographed Americans of the 19th century. He understood its power like few did. He understood that it could be used for good and for evil. He also used it, and quite effectively, as part of his own personal brand. I want to read a few passages from the lecture to give you a flavor of the content and a sense of where he was coming from on the subject. So we're going to start here with the opening paragraph, just to give you a sense of how he set up the audience. So here we go. Quote, "The title of my lecture has the excellent merit of indefiniteness. It confines me nowhere and leaves me free to present anything from which may be derived instruction or amusement. With this latitude of range, allow me to say that I am profoundly grateful for the honor of being called to lecture in this most popular course. I take it as a compliment to my enslaved race that while summoning men before you from the highest seats of learning, philosophy, and statesmanship, you have also summoned one from the slave plantation." Wow, that's quite a start. He goes on to get into photography, and in this passage, he pays honor to Daguerre, the inventor of photography, who founded the first commercially viable, the first commercially successful photography, and it takes its name, the daguerreotype, in 1839. So here's his quote about Daguerre. Here we go. "But the great father of our modern pictures is seldom mentioned, though as worthy as the foremost. If by means of the all-pervading electric fluid, Morse," that's the famous telegrapher, "has coupled his name with the glory of bringing the ends of the earth together and of converting the world into a whispering gallery, Daguerre, by the simple but all-abounding sunlight, has converted the planet into a picture gallery." What a great quote, the planet into a picture gallery. Now, this third passage is the quote that you most often hear. A lot of folks don't actually know that it comes from this lecture, but here it is. It's about the democratization of photography. And here it is, quote, "Men of all conditions may see themselves as others see them. What was once the exclusive luxury of the rich and great is now within reach of all. The humblest servant girl, whose income is but a few shillings per week, may now possess a more perfect likeness of herself than noble ladies and even royalty, with all its precious treasures, could purchase 50 years ago." Here's another passage that I like. This is on the reach of photography, how pervasive it was in America from 1839 to 1861. Only had 20 years gone by. So listen to this. Quote, "The smallest town now has its Daguerrean gallery. And even at the crossroads where stands but a solitary blacksmith's shop and what was once a country tavern, but now is in the last stages of dilapidation, you will find the inevitable Daguerrean gallery shaped like a baggage car with a hothouse window at the top, adorned with red curtains, resting on gutta-perchean springs and wooden wheels painted yellow. The farmer boy gets an iron shoe for his horse and a metallic picture for himself at the same time and at the same price. Great, great quote. Got a few more for you. Here's one on the importance of photography to your personal brand. This really gets to Douglass's understanding and how he used it for his own purposes. So here's the quote. I think it may be fairly doubted if this pictorial plenty has done much for modest distrust of our good looks. No one hesitates thus to commit himself to the judgment of posterity, a man who nowadays publishes a book or peddles a patent medicine and does not publish his face to the world, with it may almost claim and get credit for singular modesty. Handsome or homely, manly or mean, if an author's face can possibly be other than fine looking, the picture must be in the book, or the book must be considered incomplete. Now, check this one out. This is about the cultural impact of photography. Here we go. Quote, as to the moral and social influence of pictures, it would hardly be extravagant to say of it what Moore has said of ballads. Give me the making of a nation's ballads, and I care not who has the making of its laws. The picture and the ballad are alike, if not equally social forces, the one reaching and swaying the heart by the eye, and the other by the ear. As an instrument of wit, of biting satire, the picture is admitted to be unrivaled. It strikes human nature on the weakest of all its many weak sides, and upon the instant makes the hit palpable to all beholders. The dullest vision can see and comprehend at a glance the full effect of a point which may have taken the wit and skill of the artist many hours and days. Last two. This is one on photography and public opinion. Quote, success is the admitted standard of American greatness, and it is marvelous to observe how readily it also becomes the standard of manly beauty. There is marked improvement in the features of the successful man and a corresponding deterioration in those of the unsuccessful. Our military heroes look better even in pictures after winning an important battle than after losing one. The pictures do not change, but we look at them through the favorable or unfavorable prevailing public opinion. Okay, here's the last one, where he expresses his thoughts on the love of pictures. So here's the quote. Rightly viewed, the whole soul of man is a sort of picture gallery, a grand panorama in which all the great facts of the universe, in tracing things of time and things of eternity, are painted. The love of pictures stands first among our personal inclinations and is among the last to forsake us in our pilgrimage here. In youth, it gilds all our earthly future with bright and glorious visions, and in age, it paves the streets of our paradise with gold and sets all its opening gates with pearls. So there you have it. Frederick Douglass's comments, a few passages from his lecture on pictures delivered on December 3rd, 1861 in Boston. Until the next episode, happy trails.